Let's begin with the first question and answer session. We will try to answer as many questions as possible. Therefore, we ask that only one question be asked per phone call and that these questions be as brief as possible. You may call the studio directly at the phone or fax numbers which appear on your screen, including the ITC iPhone number 688-1700. We remind you to make your phone calls at a distance from the monitor to avoid feedback. First question comes via fax from Lima, Peru, and the question is, do you think that power and influence will continue to be encountered in the 11 countries you mentioned, and if so, what should be the collaboration strategy of the intermediate emerging nations such as Mexico, Brazil, Turkey, etc.?
Sure. It's a good question. I think the way I would answer that is to look at the model of the European Union. I think they've been very successful in terms of coming together, not only on a monetary and economic sense, but developing the products and services such as Airbus and other companies of that nature. I think also you have to continue to work to develop the middle class, because the middle class will be the lifeblood of any society. And that's where your workers and innovation will come from.
That's an excellent example of the European Union. Next question is from Mexico. Go ahead, please.
Good morning. I'm calling from the Tecamac, from the Technological University. Do you think that the economic and political model in a country is where the leaders come from, or do really our leaders from third world countries are only looking at the upper classes and they're really not looking at the minorities? What's the role of leaders in developing countries?
It's an excellent question.
Una excelente pregunta.
I think leaders come from two sources. Obviously, traditionally, we look to the economic and political structure for our elected officials and for the business leaders. But I think as societies expand and as companies try to innovate and create new products, you have to reach deeper into the middle class. And if you're ignoring minorities, whether it be women or underprivileged people, you're missing a great opportunity to tap into their brilliance. And great ideas come from all people.
Great. Thank you. We stay in Mexico for our next question. Go ahead, please.
Buenos días. This is Delia Cuevas from the Tecnológico de Cuautitlán Izcalli. And my question is the following. We're talking about the same thing about international leadership, or is there a difference when we talk about a global perspective when we talk with leadership? Are these two separate things, or is it one?
I do think that they are two separate issues. When we talk about international leadership, I view that more as perhaps a role of the United Nations, or perhaps a nation like the United States where it has more of an international influence. When we talk about global leadership, I think we're really trying to emphasize the role of business and other economic systems that need to be responsible and inclusive when they do business in other countries.
Excellent question and excellent answer. We go to Ecuador for our next question. Go ahead, please.
Good morning. I'm calling from the University of Espíritu Santo, and my question is, there's a great demand of oil and other primary resources on behalf of China, for example, and how does this affect positively and negatively the countries in Latin America?
Well, the demand of oil for countries like China, the United States, other consumers of lots of oil, that's very positive for developing countries in Latin America or South America, such as Venezuela. where they have a lot of oil. I think it also puts a responsibility on the consumers of oil to be responsible, especially when you talk about the environmental impact, the negative impact of environmental consequences using oil and other products that could be harmful to the environment. So countries that consume oil also have a social obligation. In the United States and around the world, you see a lot of the green movement taking place. And I think this is also very positive for the world.
Right. Thank you for your questions. Let's now move to the second module of our program.